Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to yet another edition of the dceu Daily. Now, We've Got This Covered. You have got absolutely nothing covered, and if you were a physical publication, I would use you for bog paper. Thank you very much. So yes, welcome to Big Mouth and welcome to another edition of the dceu Daily. And today we start off with this one. Zack Snyder receiving Hollywood Critics Association Award. Well, how it's all turning around. I will give you my reaction to this after I've read the article by Richard Finks for Off Screen Rant. I've got a bit to say about this. The HFC will bestow Justice League director Zack Snyder with the first ever Valiant Award at this week's award ceremony. The first ever. That's interesting. Have they literally created an award for Zack Snyder so they can say, you're back into the bosom of Hollywood? I think so. Anyway, Zack Snyder will be presented with an award from the Hollywood Critics Association. The Hollywood Critics Association. Wow! They haven't really been a friend of Zack Snyder's in the past, have they? So that's interesting. The Hollywood Critics Association is an organisation of film and critics whose purpose is to support underrepresented voices and offer a diverse background of critics. The award ceremony offers a number of unique awards, including the Trailblazer Award, the Star on the Rise Award, and the Inspire Award. This is an association that's been formed by critics. Critics have always hated Zack Snyder for being different, unique, and a visionary. This tells you something about what's going on here. Don't you understand what's going on here? Right, I will give you my take after the article. Look, listen, don't get me wrong. I'm so happy for Zack. This is going to make Zack happy because ever since he lost Awesome tragically to suicide, he's been fighting, to raise awareness and finances for suicide prevention. So this is a good thing for Zack. Don't get me wrong. 2021 has been shaping up to be quite a year for Zack Snyder. 4 years after stepping down from Justice League, his cut of the film is finally releasing on HBO Max on March the 18th, 2021. In May, his latest film, the zombie heist film, Army of the Dead, will premiere on Netflix. Army of the Dead will launch its own franchise with a prequel film and an anime-style television series. He also recently announced his next project will be a new retelling of King Arthur legend. To top all this off, he's been presented with a brand new award at the HCA Film Awards. It's amazing. I want to smile, I want to laugh because it's so ironic. It really is. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the Hollywood Critics Association is presenting Zack Snyder with its first ever Valiant Award. The award will be presented to Snyder during the 4th annual HCA Film Awards on March the 5th, 2021, and will be held virtually. The award is to honour Snyder and his wife and producing partner Deborah Snyder with how they responded to their 20-year-old daughter Autumn's suicide in 2017. Ashley Menzel, one of the chairs and co-founder of the HCA, said in a statement, "As someone whose own life was impacted due to suicide, I was extremely moved by how Zack and his wife and business partner Deborah turned their inconsolable pain into altruistic action, spearheading an effort that has helped countless individuals and families." Yeah, listen, Zack and Deb could have been so bitter about this, and I'm sure at first they were full of anger and resentment. Of course they would have been. That would have been natural. But they turned that into positivity to help others suffering with the same affliction that took their daughter away from them. That's powerful, that's compelling, and that's sensational. I think they should win the Nobel Peace Prize for what they've been through. That's just my opinion. Anyway, the passing of his daughter left a huge impact on Zack Snyder, not only deciding to step down from Justice League, but also taking some time off from filmmaking to focus on being with his family. Since 2017, Zack and Deborah Snyder have donated and supported ASFP, or the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Fans quickly followed suit, and the Snyder Cut movement raised $250,000 in donations for the AFSP. Zack Snyder's filmography with critics has been a mixed bag. Yeah, you could say that. With his 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead being his highest rated directed film on Rotten Tomatoes, even his wife Deborah Snyder defended Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice from critics, saying, "We've had our share of unkind press. Yet while critics might be more mixed on each individual film, many critics have appreciated Snyder's creative choices, even when they may not quite enjoy the film. More importantly, the award itself is a sign of something bigger than the movies themselves by honouring the man who made them. Zack Snyder, his family suffered an unimaginable tragedy in 2017. The award could never replace his daughter, but it can stand in her memory of her. Her legacy lives on in Deborah and Zack Snyder, and the work will continue, the work they will continue to make." Well, oh dear. I tell you what, listen. Congratulations, Zack and Deb. No one, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, deserves this more than you. Absolutely. But what an absolute fucking joke. The Critics Association of Hollywood, the very people that have filled and reacted to Zack's movies with such vitriol. How'd you say the word? Vitriol. Yeah, that's it, vitriol, right? Let's get the word right. And now awarding Zack Snyder, not for his films, of course, but what he's done to raise awareness and finances for suicide prevention. Listen, it's a good thing, but this is the first award of its kind, and it's very, very interesting because it doesn't... Look, listen, professional critics are an association. They're as much as an association as Hollywood or any studio is itself. And they have been accused of something very deeply troubling, and that's toxicity aimed towards Zack Snyder. Many blue-tick bloggers have made some unkind accusations against Zack and Deb as parents. These people know this, and it's all turned around. It's like I said to you about Ray Fisher and how everything he's saying is gaining momentum, and it's going to be very uncomfortable for Warner Media when this film, Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, blows up so big. And because they know now it's going to blow up so big, the Press Association of Critics know what's happening here. They know the consensus of people is raging against them, and they're trying to create some good PR and marketing for themselves. That's something we must understand and accept. But it's still a really good thing. But it is, of course, ever so ironic, because in 2016, the public kind of, I suppose, persona and mindset was that Zack Snyder was a terrible filmmaker and he shouldn't be running the DCEU. That's what critics believed. That's what the Press Association believed. And that's what most of you out there believed. I never believed that because I'm a fan. I like his films. You don't have to like Zack's films, but it's very important how we do not like something. If I don't like an MCU movie, I critique it properly, and I tell you why I don't like something. If I don't like a TV show, I tell you why I don't like a TV show. I don't look into the history of the creatives and go so deep into it. That would be unfair. And so, after all this toxicity, listen, this is what I'm saying to you. They know this film is going to blow up so big. I warned you before, prepare. This is going to be the biggest streaming event of all time. It feels like something so huge is happening here, and they know it. The public perception, public opinion is now for Zack Snyder rather than against him. There'll always be some people being toxic, and that's up to them. If they can sleep at night behaving in that way and conducting themselves in that way, that's up to them. But we are here in a big situation. This is the biggest turnaround in history. This reminds me of Eric Cantona, the soccer player who used to play for the football club I support, Manchester United. Now, Eric had just been given a red card. A red card in soccer, in football, basically means you can't play the rest of the game. So he's walking off, and this fan is insulting Cantona's wife. Cantona is still enraged from the sending off. He kung fu kicks the fan. He's suspended from high-profile football for about 9 months. The press are after him. They want him out the game. Everyone's saying he's a terrible person. He comes back after his suspension. He plays a blinder. His form's beautiful. pretty much the main compelling reason why Manchester United won the Premier League and FA Cup double in 95-96. Opinion changed about him. Now, Zack Snyder didn't kung fu kick a movie fan who insulted him, right? Heaven forbid. I mean, I don't know if many people would say too much after the abuse he's got, but violence never solves anything, of course. But the point being, the way Eric was treated after that. And, you know, it was interesting with Eric, because I know this is the dceu Daily, but it was interesting with Eric. A lot of kind of footballers of colour kind of applauded what Eric did to the fan, because fans had been racially abusing footballers of colour for so many years. So someone like Les Ferdinand kind of said, well, we've had to put up with this abuse. You know, what did you think was going to happen in the end? So a lot of black players actually applauded what Eric did. I would never applaud that kind of violence. But when you're when you're under pressure, when you're a high profile athlete and you've got some idiot screaming obscenities about your wife, ultimately most people wouldn't crack, but Eric did. But the whole point here is, of course, Zack Snyder was treated with the same abuse just because he's a unique visionary filmmaker who makes his films differently. For example, I remember Russell Crowe saying that you don't make a film of the size of Man of Steel with a single camera. But Zack does, and he made you look pretty awesome. Hey, Russell. Now, Russell wasn't kind of blowing shade on Zack. He was just saying how different and unique and brilliant Zack is. Russell Crowe has been screaming beautiful things about Zack Snyder ever since he worked with him. And even saying, him and Michael Shannon said they'd love to have done a Krypton prequel movie. So that's with Zack. So they love Zack. They're team Zack Snyder, make no mistake about that. So when someone's so different and so unique, we live in a society of robots and drones and sheep and basics who don't like anything different. We were in the era of the MCU, Avengers. The first Avengers was so successful, and everyone wanted every comic book movie to be like Avengers Assemble and like the rest of the MCU. And Zack Snyder didn't want to do that, because the thing is, Stan Lee made a really good point before he died. He said, the MCU represents the world we live in. And it does, really. In terms, it puts superheroes like Spider-Man in the real world, having to struggle to pay his rent, you know, having to make enough money to live and feed himself, because Aunt May can't support him because she's just an ordinary elderly lady trying to, you know, survive on her pension. And we see that in Spider-Man 2, in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, and it's kind of displayed beautifully. Now, the DC universe really mostly doesn't represent characters in the real world. It's mostly about gods. Now there's humour and there can be kind of lightness and watered down quality to their storytelling in DC, but there's also a darker element of gods versus monsters, which I absolutely love because it's pure escapism. And this is how Zack Snyder understands that about these DC characters. But because of Marvel and because everyone believed everyone should do things the Marvel way, Zack was attacked. But there's one thing to condemn someone's visionary qualities of filmmaker and an artist in a constructive way. But the abuse and toxicity that Zack Snyder got was despicable. It crossed the line. Now, if it was just movie fans, uneducated, mentally unstable people, I kind of say, you know what, they can't help themselves. But as I said yesterday, when it's well-educated journalists showing these kind of histrionics and abusive tactics, something has to be done and something has to be said. So in came us from the DC Snyderverse community, and we were accused of being toxic. But did we just come in on these people? We just woke up in the morning and thought we'd attack critics? No. They were very, very toxic, and they crossed the line. And they know they've crossed the line by presenting this award. They have come up with this award because they know their reputation and their PR is in fucking trouble. That's how much the Zack Snyder persona has turned around here. Basically, to give you an old British adage, from villain to hero. This is Roy of the Rovers stuff. This is one of the most unique, amazing stories in Hollywood history. Because what we did, the Snyderverse fandom, from the beginning of seeing Justice League, we exposed and opened up Hollywood like a can of peaches. And the more we found out and the more we saw what they did to Zack and how they conducted themselves, and we're still finding things out from people like Ray Fisher, it's not just Warner Brothers that are being exposed here, it's Hollywood as a whole. And they're trying to stop themselves being exposed. They tried to make Zack Snyder look like a bad person. They tried to make him look like a bad filmmaker who didn't know what he was doing. They failed because of us, because a bunch of ordinary working class people stood with an elite director, and he stood with us. And he and Deb, wonderful people, they are always talk about us and always give us love. So we are not a toxic fan base. We stood with a couple who had lost their daughter. Of course, we stood with them for many different reasons. Of course, we felt their pain, but also we want an artist like Snyder to keep on working and doing what he's doing. We didn't want him driven out of the industry because he wasn't making mainstream movies like the MCU and Back to the Future. We don't have any other visionary filmmakers anymore in mainstream movies. We don't. Zack Snyder's all we've got left. Yeah, we've got Christopher Nolan, but he's kind of putting out the same movies he's done already. He's got nothing new to say. Snyder is giving us chapterized movies from the DCEU, as you will see from the Justice League Snyder Cut. It's important he's protected. We need a visionary director. I'm sorry, I like James Gunn. He's not a visionary director. I like all the directors making MCU films, but they're not visionaries. They don't have anything new to say. It's pretty much watch our product once and forget about it. It's the disposable movie situation. When I was growing up, movies wasn't disposable. And Zack Snyder's situation and what he went through is very similar to what Tim Burton went through. They loved him after the first Batman movie, Batman 89. Then he did Batman Returns. They said it was too dark. They couldn't sell any toys. Apparently it was scaring children. Oh, cry me a fucking river. Because apparently Batman all of a sudden is for children. Since when? Batman's for everyone. So Burton just looked at kind of the Dark Knight version of Batman and did that. Batman Returns is actually a brilliant movie. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a perfect movie. I think it's a brilliant movie. I don't think it's overstuffed. And what happened was Burton came in to make the third movie, and they were saying, well, wouldn't you rather make a smaller film? And Burton said to Warner Brothers, you don't want me to do the third one, do you? So he didn't. And so we got Batman Forever. And, I don't mind Batman Forever. It's certainly better than Batman and Robin, and I think it's a viable film. But they changed the tone, and, basically, if you look at Batman Forever and Justice League, there isn't much difference there, is there? The only difference between Batman Forever and Justice League, the director of Batman Forever was able to do his own movie and not use Tim Burton's footage and stuff like that, but kind of used his themes in places, right? And it was supposed to be the same universe, but Whedon couldn't make his own movie. He was only allowed to kind of write and shoot an hour's worth of footage and story. And so it's a very similar story. A darker tone director is replaced for a lighter version that doesn't really sit well with the audience. And if they kept Burton and if they kept Snyder and allowed them to tell their stories and then allow them to move on, and then these people could have done their light and fluffy and pointless movies anyway. But Batman Forever and Batman and Robin are nowhere near the quality of Batman 89 and Batman Returns, and that's a fact. And Justice League and many of these DCEU films that don't involve Snyder are not of the quality of Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and won't be of the quality of Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. And that's my take on Zack Snyder. It was a bit of a long take, and that's a long reaction, but that's how I feel about it. Now, I had a conversation with someone who has seen the Snyder Cut, a journalist who has seen the Snyder Cut. As you know, many people now have who are in the media have access to this film, and many other people who are not higher up in the media have kind of petitioned to get a copy of the film so they can review it as well. I spoke to someone. So basically, this is not a Zack Snyder fan, first and foremost, and this is why his reaction to the film shocked me to my very, very core. So this person has written unkind things about Zack. Not in terms of toxicity. He's a really good person, by the way, but doesn't like Zack Snyder films, doesn't like his style. But this is what this person said to me, that Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut connects everything together. It makes you understand why certain things happened in Man of Steel and BVS. It makes the context of what Snyder and Goya and Nolan were trying to say in Man of Steel a lot more understandable. This person said that he loved the Justice League Snyder Cut. He never even realised it was a 4-hour movie while watching it. It went so quickly. It was like a proper movie. The visuals, the action was so compelling. But what he said really, really pleased him was the character development of the League and how we got to see all of these people's stories and struggles before they actually embrace becoming heroes and fighting, Darkseid and Steppenwolf. And so this one person that I've spoken to who's seen Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, and I made sure I wasn't told anything about the film specifically, but I just wanted to gauge this person's opinion, and he gave me a brief outline of what he thought of the film. Very, very positive. Now, this is from a person who doesn't normally like Snyder. He doesn't like Dawn of the Dead, doesn't like Watchmen, doesn't like the style of Man of Steel and how it's shot in, and doesn't like Batman versus Superman, but now actually said he appreciates those films more, and he's going to go back and binge them all with Zack Snyder's Justice League because he feels he may have been wrong about Snyder, and a lot of people are telling me this who didn't particularly like his films. So I just thought I'd let you know that, because I think it's very important to us who have been fighting for Zack. People are starting to understand now what Zack Snyder's all about. Zack Snyder has been misunderstood by the movie fan, consumer, and the movie journalists, access media, and critics. And it's really beautiful now to see everyone appreciating Snyder for the visionary, awesome storyteller, director, and artist he is, and human being. There'll be more to come on today's DCEU Daily here on Big Mouth about Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. But first, let's talk about Superman and Lois and my theory about something that happened in the episode. Now, it's very, very interesting where Captain Luthor stands against Kal-El. It's very clear that this is a man that was a hero who saw a very evil, powerful man do something terrible to those soldiers. He killed them with his heat vision. So his Earth was destroyed. He's come to this new Earth, and he's revealed that he sees Superman, Tyler Hoechlin, as the villain. Now, he understands that this Superman and Clark Kent and Kal-El isn't bad at this point, but that something, he believes, now we don't know this, but this is my theory, that something happens that turns him to this way. Now, could it be possible, but it's very viable, that Captain Luthor's actual worries will come to pass? Will something happen to turn Superman this way? It's very hard for us to see how Superman could turn this way unless they're following a similar kind of roadmap to Snyder. I mean, it would be ridiculous. What if he was under some villain's control and he turns into this ferocious god that kills? So it could be inevitable that this is what's happening. Or could the stranger be the one who controlled Superman to do these things? He wants the multiverse to hate Superman for some reason. After all, he is Lex Luthor. He could have this insidious plan. That would be very similar to what Lex did in BVS, where he was trying to convince the world that Superman was a threat by doing certain things. So there is that. So either Captain Luthor is just a pure-hearted hero who's seen so much death caused by Kal, and he wants to stop him before it's too late, or this is an insidious plot for the stranger to convince not just this world, but every world, that Superman is a bad person and a threat when he's not. What if that figure we saw in black killing all those soldiers isn't actually Superman? It could be Bizarro. It could have been under Captain Luthor's control. We simply don't know anything yet. So it's very important that we don't come under any kind of fast conclusions about this until we see what's going on. And also, it is very interesting, as I said in my review for Superman and Lois episode 2, who is the real villain in this show? Has the villain not been revealed to us? Is it the guy who owns the Daily Planet now, who Lois is going up against? Is it Captain Luthor? It's all very, very interesting. Maybe Superman in the world, in Superman and Lois, actually is the villain and will be revealed as somebody else, a darker version of the character. And also don't forget, there could be a reality here that this Superman isn't actually the Tyler Hoechlin Superman we were introduced to in Supergirl Season 2, Episode 1, and maybe the Superman and Lois show will embrace that Superman, and that Superman will have to fight this Superman, because Arrowverse is telling a multiverse story. They're the ones really who introduced the multiverse into live action. And don't forget, we saw Barry Allen from the Flash series and Ezra Miller's The Flash and Grant Gustin's The Flash share a scene together in Crisis on Infinite Earths as well. And so this could be a multiverse story as well for the CW Arrowverse universe. We just don't know. But it's very safe to say that something bigger than what's been revealed is happening. And I go back to what this showrunner did with Season 1 of The Flash, where we didn't really know what was going on at first. Was Wells evil? Was he good? And in the end, it was revealed he wasn't even Wells. He was Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne. And so it could be very viable here that this Superman isn't the Superman we know and love. And so I just wanted to share my thoughts about this. I am enjoying Superman and Lois. I can't judge in 2 episodes of a Superman show where I am with it. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far. At this point, I will never say this is a better show than Smallville. This show has a bigger budget than Smallville. We actually get to see the Superman that we know and love, that we've looked up to all our lives, in the costume, doing things, being heroic, and that's awesome. And the concept of the family and the Superman thing are awesome. But I watched Smallville for 10 years. Smallville, for me, is the greatest comic book adapted show of all time. And I don't watch WandaVision and think that WandaVision is better than Smallville. It's got a higher investment. It's a shared universe. It's part of the MCU, of course. But Smallville did something incredible on an incredible small budget with great creatives and great actors and a great crew behind them. So Smallville will always be my favourite. Now, when we get to the end of Superman and Lois, maybe in 5 or 6 seasons' time, maybe my mind will change. But at this moment, Smallville still stands above every other comic book superhero show. That Justice League Mother Box teaser was originally Snyder Cut TV show intro. Yes, we're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. The Mother Box Origins teaser for Zack Snyder's Justice League was originally created as a title sequence intro for the planned Snyder Cut TV show by Daniel Gillespie of Screen Rant. The Mother Box Origins teasers for Zack Snyder's Justice League was originally created as a title sequence intro for the planned Snyder Cut TV show, scheduled for release on March 18th on HBO Max in the USA and in theatres and VOD globally. The director's definitive version of the 2017 superhero team-up has been revealed to run over 4 hours long. The release includes chapter titles as well as an intermission, likely included to signal to fans when they can take a logical break to stretch their legs. The length is also a hint as to why the director's original plan was to release the Justice League Snyder Cut as a 4-part TV show. The original intent was likely to drop each part of the release weekly, building anticipation and keeping the conversation around the Snyder Cut going. That plan never came to fruition, though partly due to contract issues surrounding the actors' deals and partly due to Warner Brothers' decision to release all their 2021 movies on HBO Max and in theatres on the same day. But there are remnants of the TV series plan left, at least according to a new tweet. Digital Studio U & Co. has revealed in a tweet that the Mother Box Origins trailer, which is filled with Easter eggs, was originally created as an intro sequence for the TV series. The studio reveals it was then repurposed when the decision was made to keep the Snyder Cut a single film release, and it was released as a promo instead. The tweet also confirms that Easter eggs and behind-the-scenes details are deliberate, which would make sense for the video originally envisioned as a TV series intro. You can see the tweet below. Given the new context, the Mother Box Origins video now makes a lot more sense. The video definitely works on its own as a trailer, though the fact it doesn't include any actual footage from the highly anticipated movie was a little strange, and not to me. The fact that it was originally intended to be an intro for the show, introducing the characters and plot in a visually inventive way, makes even more sense and reveals that the Snyder Cut was definitely planned to be released as a TV series for a number of months. It's also proof that Snyder's plan with WB and DC continue to be changed and fluid. The director has admitted his version of Justice League ends on a cliffhanger, setting up a sequel that would have been the DCEU's endgame, even though he knows the studio will never make it. We don't know that, by the way. I don't believe that. There's no doubt in the director's commitment to his vision, though. He's also clearly learned to compromise if the Mother Box intro is anything to go by. No. He hasn't compromised on his vision, Daniel Gillespie. Let's be absolutely clear here. Look, it was the studio who wanted to turn this into a series before they decided to put all their big movies onto HBO Max as well as movie theatres. That's why the plan changed. He would have preferred to release it as a movie, but he kind of said, all right, as long as the film, everything on screen is still mine and the way I want to present it, what's it matter if it's a series rather than a movie, right? It makes little difference. So, no, he didn't bend and he didn't compromise. Now, there's another article I want to read you because we now know the chapter titles of Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. So let's have a look at them and let's see if we can gauge any clues about this huge event. Zack Snyder's Justice League, all 6 chapter titles revealed. After director Zack Snyder revealed the first 2 chapter titles, the official Twitter account for Zack Snyder's Justice League revealed all 6 by Cooper Hood of Screen Rant. All 6 chapter titles of Zack Snyder's Justice League have been revealed following a disappointing theatrical cut in 2017 and years of fans campaigning for the Snyder Cut to be finished and released. Warner Media and HBO Max announced plans to release Snyder's version of the movie. After doing some quick reshoots that added Jared Leto's Joker to the nightmare sequence, the director has been working on completing a new cut of Justice League that will be drastically different from what audiences saw before. Zack Snyder's Justice League changes are many, but they go beyond how Snyder is restoring his his original story, and those character arcs. Snyder has been given complete creative control over the project after forgoing getting paid for his additional work. The result will be a 4-hour R-rated cut of Justice League that maintains somewhat unique aspect ratio featured in the marketing. With the movie being significantly longer and looking different, Snyder also revealed that one other change his cut includes in the addition of chapters. He previously revealed the first 2 chapter titles, but not all 6 chapters are known. The official Twitter account for Zack Snyder's Justice League shared the 6 chapter titles recently. As Snyder previously revealed, the first 2 chapters are titled Don't Count on It, Batman and Age of Heroes. The new chapter titles show Part 3 is titled Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. I think that's interesting. Part 4 is titled Change Machine. And Part 5 is titled All the King's Heroes. And Part 6 is titled Something Darker, which we know Ben Affleck's Batman says in the film. With all 6 chapters titles now revealed for Zack Snyder's Justice League, fans will begin looking for levels of meaning within each one. The title should provide a good guideline for what will happen during each chapter from the narrative perspective. The first part will be focused on Batman trying to assemble the Justice League for the first time, and the main team should be together by the end of Age of Heroes. The third chapter's title could be a reference to the Mother Boxes and planning for Superman's return. The machine referenced in Chapter 4's title should be about the Kryptonian ship that brings Superman back to life. Lastly, Chapter 5 should be when all the entire team is together, while Chapter 6 will include the showdown and the cliffhanger ending Snyder confirmed. Sorry, don't mind me if I choke to death. These chapter titles could be beneficial for how people watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. The movie's 4-hour runtime will inevitably leave some viewers wanting a place to pause to take a break of some sort. Instead of audiences guessing where the best place to stop is, Snyder has built in some checkpoints for those who don't have the time or energy to commit 4 straight hours to a movie, but anyone eager to consume the film in one sitting can still do just that and enjoy the chapter breaks anyway. So let's look at these chapters. The first one, Don't Count on It, Batman. So we know that Jason Momoa's Aquaman says that to Batman in the theatrical cut. So obviously that's that sequence. They're going to use that. And that's pretty much Batfleck trying to get the team together. Part 2 is Age of Heroes. Now, this is interesting. Now, we know that Diana says, I didn't think the Age of Heroes would come again, and Batfleck, Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne says, it will, it must, it has to. Could it be the Age of Heroes is just after they get the League together? Because that's part 2 for them to be together and to be a cohesive team would be too soon. So that's an interesting one. This is the one that really kind of intrigues me. Beloved mother, beloved son. Now, this could actually not just be about Cyborg and his mum, because Ray Fisher did tag the lady who plays his mum in it. So I think that Cyborg's flashback, 15-minute flashback that Junkie XL said he's done some music for, will be part of this chapter. But I also think that this could be Clark and Martha. This could also be Steppenwolf and the mother boxes. Do you get it? Beloved mother, beloved son. So I think that's what that chapter's going to do. Change Machine. Now, this again will be more about Cyborg, because the Change Machine is something really what the mother boxes do and what they did to Cyborg. So I think that chapter maybe will have a lot of Cyborg and what he can do to stop what Steppenwolf is attempting to do to the Earth. All the King's Horses. This is an interesting one. I think that maybe this may see us go to Apocalypse, and maybe when we finally get introduced to Lord Darkseid, that would be awesome. Something darker, as I've said, we've seen that in the trailer before. Prior to the trailers we got for Zack Snyder's Justice League for his original theatrical cut, when he goes, I think it's something worse, something darker. So I think that's kind of the third act, and when things will really go to hell, and we know there's going to be a cliffhanger there. So it's all very, very interesting stuff. So there's a lot of clues in those chapters if you look deeply. So how is this going to work in the film? I assume we get an end of a chapter, then a new credit comes. So, for example, when the film first comes up, it will probably say, "Don't count on it, Batman," in credits, in words. And then when that chapter's over, it will say Chapter 2, Age of Heroes, maybe, then phase out. Maybe a bit of music, kind of an interval, then we get back in. Maybe that's the way he's going to do it. I am not too sure. But anyway, again, very visionary of Zack, very unique. And with chapters, you can just stop watching it after each chapter and go back to it. I will attempt to watch it all in. But if I don't have the time that day, I definitely want to see it as quick as possible, because I will be renting it on pay-per-view, and you only have 24 hours to watch these things once you start viewing them. So it's very difficult when you've got over a 4-hour movie to watch. But we will get there. My first viewing, you won't hear from me. After my first viewing, I will react to it on all social media, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter especially, and of course here, most importantly, on Big Mouth, I will tell you what I think about the movie, and wow, I cannot wait for that day. The Flash Season 7 is when Barry must grow into a legend. The Flash Season 7 will see protagonist Barry Allen make the transition into a legendary Arrowverse hero, according to showrunner Eric Wallace, by Rick Stevenson of Screen Rant. The Flash Season 7 will see Barry Allen begin his transition into a legendary hero, according to showrunner Eric Wallace. Now, the longest-standing series for both the Arrowverse and the CW at large, after Arrow and Supernatural both ended, The Flash has become a flagship series for the franchise and the network. The Flash Season 7 premiered on March the 2nd after a long delay due to the coronavirus pandemic. It picked up the storylines left unresolved after the previous season was cut short. A Season 8 has already been ordered, so viewers won't be saying goodbye to Barry and the rest of the Team Flash anytime soon, which is good news, of course. As the first spin-off companion series to Arrow and the most popular Arrowverse show since The Flash is largely responsibility for the franchise's development into a multi-show brand. Despite the cancellation of some other major Arrowverse shows like Black Lightning and Supergirl, its future on the CW seems to be solidified for now. Despite an ever-growing cast of characters, The Flash has never stayed from the eponymous protagonist, Barry Allen. They do have a lot of people on that show, don't they? The trend will apparently continue in season 7. In a recent interview with comic book showrunner Eric Wallace discussed how the new episodes will change Barry and set up his storylines this season and going into season 8, as well as the legendary hero he eventually becomes. At some point, the hero, in order to graduate, needs to be more of a leader and less of a mentee, and you're going to see him doing a little bit more leading. I would say that's on purpose. That's just the natural growth of any superhero, and you'll even see him do some new things with his powers, discover a few of these things, and of course, the good part of that is as Barry Allen grows more comfortable and stronger in his abilities as the Flash, his villains then become all the more bigger, which is exciting, by the way, and more deadly because now he can take on a different level of foe. So that's interesting. I want to discuss that. Grant Gustin's performance as Barry has been one of the key draws to the Flash from the start, but his character has generally fit into the debonair young hero category rather than the seasoned veteran role, often filled by Batman and Superman in DC stories. Now, however, it sounds like that's changing with season 7 and 8, bringing a change for the leading hero. It should be interesting to see Barry shift into that more established role as the series continues. It also brings the show closer to its end game, with the Flash respected and admired by all of Central City. Well, I hope we're not talking end game. Hopefully there's still a place for Grant Gustin's Flash, even if he's not in a series. But season 7 is here, season 8 is coming, so I wouldn't worry too much about the end. This development also makes sense following the death of Arrow's Oliver Queen. Until recently, he was the franchise's de facto leader and an important mentor and friend to Barry. With the Arrowverse finding new life in the recently premiered Superman and Lois, Barry may become more of a leader in the broader franchise as well. Though other heroes are canonically more experienced, the Flash is now leading the way forward for DC's television universe. As the Flash continues its lauded run, Barry will continue growing into a hero worthy of the museum he one day gets. So, of course, we've had hints for the Flash Museum, haven't we? So, what Eric Wallace said was kind of exciting and very interesting in the sense him saying, as he gets more experience and he becomes more of a leader of Team Flash, his villains will become more powerful. I think this is a great way forward for the show, because even though the Flash villains are not bad or anything, they're kind of freak of the weeks kind of villains like we had in the first season of Smallville, rather than these kind of epic villains. I mean, Gorilla Grodd, he's been brilliant. Reverse Flash has been brilliant. But yeah, I think him having more stronger and powerful, more iconic villains from DC lore is a very exciting thing. And so I think this show is finally heading in the right direction. Seasons 1 and 2 it lost its way. And Eric Wallace has been brought in purposely to reinvigorate this show. Its ratings, its ratings in season 1 and 2 were groundbreaking and record-breaking. They went down a bit, but the ratings of the show have always been very strong. This is a popular character, of course. I expect him to see him in Andrew Machetti's Flashpoint movie, alongside Ezra Miller's The Flash and all these other characters that are going to cameo. So it's a very exciting time to be a DC TV fan or a DC movie fan. For someone like me who grew up watching films and TV shows with a very different mentality, it's very hard to see the kind of casting and movies and TV shows that are being greenlit for not entertainment purposes, but political purposes, to say, hey, we got one of everything now. Aren't we cool? Aren't we nice, kind people? But fuck the entertainment. Fuck the excitement. Isn't it interesting? Now, I grew up looking up to movie stars. Those movie stars aspired me. Now, we don't have any movie stars. Now, they want us to see ourselves on the screen. But I'm just wondering, all those successful creatives out there right now, would they be in their jobs if they weren't inspired by movie stars and looked up to them and great directors rather than seeing themselves? I think I'm happy that I saw the English-British-born Christopher Reeve as Superman and not a Greek Cypriot. I'm a Greek Cypriot who was born and bred in the UK, by the way. I'm glad I didn't see a Greek Cypriot actor as Superman. I'm glad I saw Christopher Reeve. I aspired to Chris. He kept me going as a human being in a very tough part of my life, as all actors who have played Superman have done. But now we live in a very, very different age. So with that said, someone like Zack Snyder has turned Hollywood on its head. While we keep on making these political choices in our actors and our cast and the people who direct now, it's all about representation and political call points. Yesterday, the Hollywood Reporter did a big interview with Kelly Marie Tran, and instead of talking about her experiences as an actor and what films she loves and the nuance of her characters, she was talking about sexism and misogynism and racism. And I mean, I think that Kelly Marie Tran seems like a very intelligent, talented young woman, but she's an actor of mediocre ability. She's not one of the greats, and she's not going to be one of the greats. So why is she in one of the biggest publications in an interview? Because they want to put us, the consumer, on trial, and they want to excuse their own failures, because instead of them making great movies, they're just too political, and that's the problem now. And so Zack Snyder, for me, is becoming very, very important. He is a Steven Spielberg. He is a George Lucas. He's so visionary. He's so unique. And I think it's very, very important he continues to making the television shows, the streaming shows, and the movies in his own way. And he's going to become more and more important. Everyone's going to be talking about him now, rather than people like Kevin Feige, who really are not that unique. He's a clever guy. He's created something that makes a lot of money. Because isn't it a shame now that when we talk about movies, we talk about box office. When we talk about our favourite TV shows, we talk about ratings. When we talk about Netflix or Disney Plus, we talk about how many subscribers each has. There's no nuance in conversation from fans. I can't talk to people who are just going to say the film you love isn't very good because the film I love made more money. I want to talk about the characters, the actor's performance, and there's no nuance in these conversations. You know, with people like Grace Randolph doing shows like Movie Maths, does it surprise you? This is where we have, you know, I would say if you just want to talk to me about comparing ratings and how many subscribers Netflix has and Disney Plus has, and how, you know, how much money one of my favourite films, Man of Steel, made compared to Avengers Endgame or Avengers Assemble, I don't want to have that conversation. I want to talk about the films and what I like about them and what you don't like about them in a calm, friendly fashion. And I think with Zack Snyder, and at least with the Snyderverse fandom, something like the JLU podcast that sits there and talks about the nuances of Zack's DC movies, I loved that. And I think most of us in this fandom do that and appreciate those elements, because that element has left cinema now, and that is very sad. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.